Hello, this is Annie, and I am back in Veronaville for some more building. Today I am gonna be building row houses, and it's in this more busy area of town that I'm building up from the ground down, I feel like. Not very much here from the start. But my vision for this place is that it's gonna be quite densely populated with these kinds of houses, hopefully. And with building row houses, of course, I need to start by putting down some lots that I'm going to be building together with each other. So the idea is that when I'm finished with this, that the houses are going to be connected to each other side by side so that they look like one complete unit, even though they are actually technically 3 separate lots. And this middle building that I'm working on right now is going to be a community lot. The other 2 on each side of it is going to be residential lots. So what I'm doing here is that I'm starting to map out with the floor tiles that you see on the grass, how many tiles they are away from the edge. So when I'm shrinking the lot later, I'm going to shrink it with 10 tiles on each side of it. So that's why I mapped out 10 on each side. And also when you build row houses, you don't want to build walls right on the edge of the lot, because those won't be able to be there when you're done, but 1 tile away from the edge. So that's why I built the walls like that as well. And here I'm messing around a bit also with the lots that's going to contain the houses. And I'm moving back and forth here and deleting the lots and putting them down again, because I am working out how I want the roads to look like, what directions I want them to be in. And of course, after I had dropped down here to this, I realized that I had messed up the roads once more, because there was a crossing there that wasn't supposed to be there. So I ended up plopping down the lot exactly where it was supposed to go when I was finished. But then I realized that I wasn't able to draw a wall as closely to the road as I was supposed to. So I actually couldn't use those either. I had to make it 1 size bigger lot to be able to do what I was trying to do. So here I'm trying to find somewhere in this town that has the exact type of road that I needed. And I found it at the edge here, just crossing my fingers that the area was flat enough, but thankfully it was. So this was actually the proper size lot that I had to use with the appropriate road pattern as well. So here I'm mapping out how many tiles there are away from where the road is actually going to go, and then also how close it's going to be to the house besides it. Now at this point, I had actually decided that the community lot was not going to have a backyard. It was just going to have a 10 by 10 size when I was done, which meant that these lots that I'm going to use as residential lots actually could use a quite big backyard, because I could layer them on top of the community lot with the stacked lot technique, and actually keep the size of these lots 20 by 20. And that also allowed me to build this in such a way that it was actually intruding with 1 tile into the community lot, you could say. So where I have right now drawn 2 wall tiles that's sort of poking out towards the edge of the community lot, those are not going to be necessary later, because this wall is actually going to be right next to the walls in the community lot building. It's so hard to explain what I'm talking about here. I guess you're going to see it later. But normally when you build connected townhouses or row houses, they're sort of creating an empty space between the buildings, because that's how you slot different lots together. But the way that I did this with layering the lots on top of each other meant that I didn't have to do that. The walls could actually be wall to wall instead, because the number of tiles from the edge here to the right that I'm measuring out right now is just 9, not 10. So that means that I didn't need to have those little out-sticky wall pieces that you're seeing me remove right now. Very complicated thing to explain. I hope I managed to tell you what I actually meant. But here you can see that it's 11 away from the edge instead. So yeah, and here I am also naming the lots, what I intend to do with them in the lot adjuster. So as you can see here, now that I'm using the lot adjuster, I am able to see that this one is supposed to shrink with 10 to the left side. And that's, I can just follow instructions that way. Same thing here. This one I needed to shrink with 10 on the right side. And then of course the community lot I needed to shrink from all sides, except the front of course. So now I'm back again in the neighborhood and taking a look at the lots, and this is what I was hoping for. And I am testing out so that I can actually place down windows on the edge there. I could do it. For some windows it's not possible, so it really depends on the window. So I really should have put down floor tiles on the first floor. And then I pulled all of them into the lot bin so that I could place down 2 copies of them. And I had accidentally missed to make a change in one of the lots before I exited out of it. So I had to just go in and plop down a painting and remove it again to make sure that it actually updated with the correct size after having shrunk. And here I am placing out the lots, preparing them for being moved. So I'm placing them as closely to each other as I can so that I don't have to move them very much, while also making sure to place them down where the road patterns actually looks correct. So that makes my work a lot easier later, basically. And I'm writing down here in names again what change I'm gonna make when I'm moving them, so that they're actually sitting next to each other. So as you can see, in this speed build video, we're actually gonna be building 6 lots in one go. So strap in, I guess. It's gonna take a while, but yeah, so this is the start of it. And I'm moving again according to the notes that I wrote down in the names of the lots. So not very far, thankfully, that I had to move them this time. And here they are in the correct positions as well. So this is where the fun can start. And of course, I'm starting out here with the first community lot. So this is what it looks like without the backyard and everything. That's going to be connected to the residential lots on the sides of it. And you can see some flickering on the ground here, and that's because the other 2 lots besides this one is layered on top of it. So the way you remove that flickering is by just placing down floor tiles, and it's not visible anymore. And then I went for this wall pattern that's actually not custom content. I need to point out when I'm not using custom content. That's always very funny. And I decided to use a thatch roof for this building to, yeah, use something different than the one that I have been using a lot recently in this neighborhood. And I was trying to make some sort of a dormer, but I had some trouble with, well, the closeness to the edge of the lot, so I couldn't place it down very far. And then I tried to do a full-size one, and that didn't look very good. So then I downsized it by using the constrained floor elevation sheet and lowering it with 4 clicks by placing down 1 staircase, and that made it look way better. There were some strange edges though, where the roofs met. So I changed the angle of these dormer roofs, and that solved the problem, but it didn't really look that good with lowering them, so I decided to raise them a bit instead. So they are 47%. So that's what I'm gonna maintain for the other buildings as well. And then of course I wanted to have some windows in here, and the trick here is to remove the wall first of all, and all of this is a lot easier if you just use the unleveled walls, because then you don't have to keep working with the constrained floor elevation sheet all the time. And also what I've noticed is that if you don't use the unleveled walls, if you're trying to do this, is that every time you go down a floor and then go back up again, the windows keep getting blocked by walls. So the only way that I've found that you can actually use this and still have the windows see-through is to use the unleveled walls. And then, yeah, I'm continuing here with some decorations for the exterior. So this is a shop sign that I only just downloaded because I thought that it looked very British and suitable for this neighborhood. And yeah, wanted something that looked like a storefront, basically. And then I am mixing and matching some windows here. I'm not just keeping to one style. I guess I really wanted some really big windows letting in a lot of light on the upstairs area here. This really suited well. And of course you can see that I also made a sort of split level here, a mock floor you could say. And the reason for that isn't really that I needed to do it, but rather that the stacked houses that I built recently on the opposite side of the road has that level in the build, which means that it's slightly higher than the building would be normally if it's just 2 levels. So I wanted them to match each other in height. So that's why I decided to do the same thing here, and that also opened up for some interesting staircase solutions that you will see soon. This is one of them for the community lots. They're gonna have the same thing here. And then I'm using the unleveled walls again to close in the mock floor so it's not visible between the levels. It just looks like a short wall. And then, of course, there's a ceiling under it, so it's not going to be visible what it looks like. And then here I wanted to have this high fence around it, but of course those windows were blocking me placing down, so I ended up going with the smaller windows that I had at the back of the house, which really made sense as well. The big windows really are more showy, I guess you could say. Something that, you would see at the front of a house like this, perhaps. Pretty expensive ones. But then the cheaper windows, smaller windows, would be at the back, I think. And then, of course, recoloring the staircases. I wasn't very happy with there being a gap beneath the staircases here, so I tried to use the ones that are not open underneath, but those left these huge trails underneath, so I couldn't use them. So I had to use this. And I didn't really want to place down a wall piece there either, so I just ended up going with that fence and trying to clench my teeth and ignore that there's a gaping hole beneath the staircase. Then I am using a combination of this wooden panel together with wallpaper. So that's something that I've been doing a lot in Veronaville, and I feel like it adds a little something to not have the entire room covered in wallpaper, but still have this combination of the wooden texture is really, really nice, and it draws the mind back to something more old, I feel like. And at this point I was sort of struggling to figure out what kind of a shop I wanted this to be. Because of course this wallpaper, among other things like the layout and everything, it draws my mind to a bookshop. But of course I'm just starting out this neighborhood, and there's not going to be a lot of authors at all to start out. So it doesn't really make sense to create a bookshop at this point. I would have to build up a lot of written books before I could do that, I feel like. So for now, at least, I made it into a cafe. Well, a book cafe, you could say. I put in a bunch of bookshelves. So I guess my Sims are going to be able to come here to grab a cup of coffee, have something to eat, and maybe read a little if they want. So that's nice. Maybe nice for my students, since I'm going to have also a university in town for them to come here to study. So I'm working here with the bar, and I tried to do some different solutions here, but nothing was really working that well. At first I wanted to fence it in a little bit because I don't really want the visitors of the cafe to walk behind the counter, because that's just for the workers, you know. It's not supposed to be for everyone to walk behind there. But it didn't really look that good, and also it restricted the movement for the barista, and I am using a mod that actually make the barista do more tasks than they do normally. So for example, they pick up dishes and take care of those, and if they can't move from behind the counter, that whole thing is not going to work. So I needed two things. I needed to have an open space for the barista to work, and also a sink for them to actually take care of the dishes. So that's why I changed things around here after a while. And of course, I'm also placing down the counters that's below the espresso machine, so that they are on walk-through blocks, because otherwise the bar isn't really working as it should. And I'm also using a menu board here so that my Sims can purchase something to eat as well while they're here. And then of course just some decorations as well. I was considering putting down this board, but I felt like this hanging sign was a lot better in this situation. So I ended up going with this custom recolor that says cafe. That makes sense. And since I'm using another mod that makes my Sims sit down in couches and armchairs when they're drinking coffee, I wanted to dedicate this downstairs area to actually sitting down to eat from the menu board instead. So what's going to happen when my Sims are visiting the slot is that anyone who is grabbing something to eat, they're going to claim a seat here at any of the tables. But then anyone who orders espresso, they're going to walk upstairs and use the sofas that I'm going to place down eventually. So that's going to actually make sure that both areas are going to be used for something. So there's going to be a lot of life and movement within this build as I'm playing with it. But also it's not going to make life too hard for the barista either, because there's not going to be any dishes to collect upstairs. Unless someone leaves their espresso cup, I guess. Then there's going to be some dishes. But I'm pretty sure on community lots that when they are drinking the espresso, the cups disappear when they're done. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. And then these bathrooms are not anything special, really. Just placing down the bare necessities here. So yeah, so that they have somewhere to go. I feel like in builds where they are expected to eat and drink, it's good to have more bathrooms than any other kind of lot. Then here on the back, there's not really much going on, but I did want to put down this hedge just to sort of screen off this part of the building, I guess you could say. And that's also something that I'm gonna maintain when I am furnishing the other two lots next to this one, so that the hedge is always going to be there. And it's going to be a clear division between the community lot and the backyards of the Sims who live in the houses next to it. And then the upstairs, so this is where I place down the bookshelves. Of course, a Chesterfield sofa. I feel like that made sense. And then some nice tables. Not that there's really any functionality to the tables, but I guess you could imagine that they're there for the Sims to place down their coffee cups when they're drinking. And I decided to put in some curtains like this. I felt like that drew the mind to, I guess, a theater or fine culture, you could say. Combined with these paintings and other decorations, it added on to the Veronaville vibe, I felt like. It's quite fun to explore the combination of a more European or British style of design as I'm building this, and also combining that with Shakespeare and seeing how I can add that vibe in together also with the more Mediterranean aspects of the town as well. It's a fun combination, I feel like. And of course, these curtains needed to be red. That looks a lot better. And annoyingly, when you use these curtains sometimes with custom windows, the windows are sort of poking out through the curtains. So I decided to freehand place them down with the snap objects to grid false sheet. And then, some pretty flowers here next to the big window. Felt like that was beautiful. And that is pretty much the build done. I think it's pretty much just placing down lights here. So I found this light that I don't know if I've ever really used, but it's really pretty. And I do have a table lamp that looks exactly like it, so I don't think I ever consciously realized that that table lamp is probably created from this wall light, actually, because that's a custom one, but this wall light isn't. And then I tried a bunch of different solutions to shed light on this middle landing area. The only thing that could actually add some light here was a table lamp that I placed on the floor. So I ended up going with a lantern. So that's all I could do to actually add that in there. Actually, I don't know if I tried a floor lamp now that I think about it. Maybe that could have worked as well. I really love the way that these lights shed a really warm and inviting light. It's not very, very harsh, and I really like it. And that is actually the first lot finished. So I guess I'm gonna have to see as I'm playing with this neighborhood in the future, whenever I'm finally done with it, if I'm gonna keep this as a cafe or not. For now, it's gonna be an unowned business, but maybe down the line, it would make sense to transform it into an actual bookshop. Who knows? Right, and here I'm continuing on with the next house in line. So I moved in the CV family. So that is, I think, Gina and Jihoon, if I remember them correctly. And here you can see what I meant with my ramblings earlier, that this lot is intruding into the community lot area. So since I built it so that it's actually wall to wall with the other lot, it just blends together seamlessly without creating that awkward space in between the buildings. And then I can also use the backyard in a good way without having to worry about it being connected also to the community lot. So yeah, this is what I meant with everything that I was saying before. And for some reason also, when I tried to lower this dormer part, it wouldn't allow me to place down the staircase if it was just 2 tiles wide. So I had to add in some extra walls and floors here to be able to actually lower it. But yeah, that was fine. And then I'm doing the exact same thing here again that I did in the previous lot, that I am removing the wall and placing down the windows, and I'm drawing the wall over again and then putting down the roof and changing the angle to 47. And that way the windows are still see-through. So I'm gonna keep on with the theme of bright colors in this part of the neighborhood. So this one had the honor of being blue. And the other ones are also gonna be nice bright colors. So that's my way of kind of marrying the 2 different areas of Veronaville together in this part of town, that we have the stucco together with the more traditionally Tudor style building materials, or what you should say. And of course I also place down driveways here in this backyard so that they can have cars. And that's actually also the reason why one of the reasons why I decided to place down the houses in this angle rather than having them all being on the main road, because I wanted it to be easy to place down driveways. But also I felt like it made sense that the entrance to the residential lot should be at the back where it's more private, whereas the entrance to the community lots, of course, is on the main street. That's what made sense to me. Yeah, switching the windows around here because I had accidentally placed them down on the wrong side. I think it's a bit tricky sometimes to actually see what side is front and back on these windows, but all right, so I'm taking a look here at the house and trying to figure out what layout I'm going with. And one of the reasons why I decided to start with this family in particular was because it's just 2 Sims. And at this point, I wasn't sure how big the house was going to be within when I finally managed to build in it. So I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to fit 3 adult Sims into such a build, or if it was better to save these houses for the smaller families with, if I was going to have the space to have 2 or 3 bedrooms, basically. So I'm trying out everything here with this, and I am also trying out different solutions here for the staircase, and this one wasn't really working because there wasn't enough space on the downstairs, so I shifted it forward 1 space, and that worked out. And then on the upstairs, it became a little bit awkward because now I had a really strange space here to work with. And something that I had realized as I was building this was that I was able to place down the staircase, the big one, when I had the entire upstairs covered with floor tile. But if I remove the floor tile where it was below, I wasn't able to place them down again. So I actually had to remove the staircase in order to be able to plop down an extra floor tile and then add the staircase back again. So that's what I did there. And that allowed me to place down a much needed wall tile there. And that allowed me also to use diagonal walls to create a solution so that I could actually have 2 bedrooms. And that solved that problem. And then of course here downstairs, I felt like I needed also a smaller bathroom, because sure, there is a bathroom upstairs, but it's always nice to have a little cloakroom next to the front door, would be the best. So that's what I ended up doing here, but then it felt ridiculous to have 2 huge windows looking into that little tiny cloakroom. So I switched that out for a smaller one. And then I realized that the inside of the build, the windows looked a bit strange, the way that they were sitting. So I switched them out so that they were 2 next to each other instead. And that worked out a lot better. And then I'm adding in the doors, and yeah, a lot of the downstairs is gonna be open so that there's just doorways, but of course it's gonna be closable doors everywhere else. I was considering having just an archway into the smaller room downstairs, but then I realized that I probably want to be able to use that as, well, an office or a bedroom or whatever I decided on, so it made more sense actually to have a closable door there. And then I'm recoloring the staircase, so I'm actually committing to this design. It takes such a long time that I really don't want to recolor it unless you're really sure that you're going with the solution that you have. And then I decided to utilize these more old-fashioned wallpapers, well, the wall panels rather, to make it seem a bit more like an old building again. And then of course a bunch of nice wallpapers, and I sat staring at this for a while because I just found the wall patterns a bit too busy, even for me. Even though I love busy wallpapers, it was a bit too much. So I ended up finally changing the master bedroom. So the whole house sort of had a blue theme, I guess you could say, in this case. And then of course on the outside I wanted to use shutters to frame in the windows a little bit and make it look a little bit more interesting rather than just, you know, a flat blue wall. And then of course I realized that yeah, I should have had floor tiles on the outside of this level, but I have this outside OMSP, I think it's called, that allows you to shift whatever you place upon them 1 tile away from where you place down the OMSP. And it has a range, so there's several of them. I think the longest one is like 7 tiles or something like that, or 8 maybe. So this is really neat to use with 1 tile objects. Unfortunately, you can't use it for anything bigger than that, but it really saved me in this situation because that actually allowed me to place down these shutters that I would not have been able to place down otherwise. And same thing also with the window boxes that I wanted to place down, because I felt like that's also a recurring theme in this part of the neighborhood, that the houses have cute little window boxes. And I needed to do the same thing here to use those OMSPs. And what you actually have to do once you have placed down the object on it is to turn it around so that it is in the opposite direction than what it was when you placed it down on the OMSP, because otherwise it's gonna be facing the wrong direction. So what I do is that I use my keyboard just to turn it with the dot or the comma button. And that is basically the whole house built, you could say. That's what the layout is going to look like. And that's actually what the layout is going to look like in all of these houses. So I'm not going to be forcing you to sit through me rebuilding the same house 4 times. So I've actually ended up cutting out that footage in the upcoming houses so that you only get the furnishing part of it. You know, you've already seen me build this house now. You don't need to see it 3 more times. And then we have this little garden. What I did with the terrain paint was that I started by mapping out where the driveway is and yeah, like below it with the terrain paint. And then once I had outlined it, I turned it invisible, and then I could fill the whole place in with the terrain paint. So that way I knew where I needed it for the driveway. And here you can see me also placing down those hedges that I mentioned, just screening off the community lot to make it a little bit more, well, not that the community lot should be private, but that maybe the backyard is a little bit more private, I guess. And then also I placed down a brick wall between like the middle of where this part of the backyard is gonna end and the neighbors is gonna start. So even though that's technically still part of this lot, it's gonna be completely screened off. Same thing actually with the community lot area. I've screened that off also with invisible fencing, so that the Sims are gonna treat it as something that they can't pass through. So I'm not gonna have any Sims just magically walk through that whole building. Yeah, and then we're starting with the furnishing here. So I am creating a little hallway, an entranceway here for the Sims. And it was actually fun and challenging, I should probably say, to furnish these houses, because they all turned out very different to each other, even though they look the same, just two of them mirrored, of course. But even though they are looking very different in the end. I guess you will see later. That was actually a very fun part of it. But it was also very difficult because I haven't played with the Sims yet at all, ever. So I don't know the Sims. I have no idea. And of course, I'm also going to be randomizing their hobbies and in Gina's case, her secondary aspiration. I think that her primary is family, actually, at the moment. And that's basically what I know about her. She struck me as someone who's pretty similar to Kaylin Langrak, actually. So maybe that's a little bit similar. I'm gonna have to see when I start playing with her. But yeah, that made it pretty difficult to actually furnish the house, because I had to just go off of the vibe that I had for what I am guessing that the Sims are like. So even though I have actually furnished these houses now, it's very possible that some things are gonna change around when I'm actually sitting down to play with the Sims. Especially when it comes to their hobbies, because at the moment I have no idea at all what they like doing. So I just placed down some arbitrary hobby objects for them, just guessing what they might be into. But that could very much be not the case at all. So I'm gonna have to see. So in this corner of the kitchen, I wanted to place down some smaller appliances, but I also wanted to make sure that the Sims were not using the counter for anything. So I also put in a slot blocker, so that they're actually not gonna try to cook food beneath the coffee machine, you know. And then after putting down some decorations there, I decided that it looked a bit stupid with the food processor, so I ended up removing it again. And then I'm placing down a toaster and a kettle, because I feel like that's very British. So that was actually something that is a running theme in all of these houses. At least the toaster is always there. And I'm pretty sure I put down the kettle in most of them as well. But then of course you need to have the Italian flair as well, with some olive oil. And for some reason I felt like beer bottles also needed to be there. Maybe it's the same vibes that I kind of get from Kaylin Langrak, that she has something of a budding alcohol problem, possibly. But this is also going to be a house that's going to be very, very close to the pub. The pub is just going to be on the opposite side of the street, so yeah, if that is the case, she is very, very close to somewhere that she's probably frequenting. I think a lot of the Sims in this neighborhood is gonna be frequent visitors of the pub, to be fair. Trying to place down curtains here was a bit of a challenge because I wanted to use 2-tile ones, but the sort of holders that hold the curtains apart were sitting very awkwardly, like in the middle of the glass for those sizes. So I actually had to use 1-tile curtains everywhere because, yeah, I didn't like the that sort of visual glitch. And of course, with it being such a tiny, tiny kitchen, I only had space for a 1-tile table and 3 chairs. That's it. And that's gonna be it for all of these kitchens, actually. So if they have any visitors that comes to eat something, I guess they're gonna have to either sit down in the couch to eat, or they're gonna have to put out a table in the backyard or something. And then in this room, I decided to use it as a living room area. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep it as that or not in this case, because something that I unfortunately figured out as I was furnishing this house is that for this family at least, I ended up with having 1 room too many, which seems like a luxury issue to have in this situation, but yeah, that was the case. And as I mentioned, I was a little bit tied down by not knowing the Sims enough to know what they would want to use that extra room for. Because as you can see here on the upstairs, they have plenty of space for having this office space with a computer and extra space for any hobby objects that they want. And then they also have space for 1 bedroom each. Like, what are they gonna use the extra room for downstairs? So that's gonna be up for discussion when I am actually sitting down to play with this family. And there are some options available for me, actually, because as I mentioned, Gina is a family sim. So it's very, very possible that she's gonna want to find someone and get married and have more kids, you know. Or she could want to adopt someone, maybe, or maybe she gets pregnant in some other way. Maybe she visits a certain theater in town and ends up with a little changeling baby, who knows. Or there's another possibility as well, because I actually made her a sister. I think that the sister's name is Cara. I know that I married her into the Butler family. Anyway, she's the mother in that family. And they have 3 kids. And I also noticed that the father is a family sim. So I think it's safe to say that he's probably going to want to have more kids. And depending on what their living situation looks like when I finish with their house as well, it is possible that maybe one of the children that they have is going to be sort of fed up with having so many siblings around that maybe they want to go live with their aunt instead for a while. And then, of course, she has an open bedroom available for them. So that could be the case, actually. So there are some options open for what to use that little room for. Or, of course, depending on what I want to do with her later on. Right now, of course, she's going to be working as a maid, but I'm not sure if that's going to be her long-time career forever. Maybe she's someone who wants to start a business or something, or have a very intense hobby that requires a lot of space. Then she also has an extra room for that. So say, for example, that she wants to be a toy maker, whatever. Then she has a room for making her toys at home, if that is the case. So that could also be something. I'm trying to not have too many families with businesses, though, because that can get a bit tiring as you're playing. Especially, I feel like when you have so few families to start out. like I'm used to playing Strange Town at this point, and I mean, I don't know even how many families I have in that. There are so many families that there's plenty of families who don't have a business at all. So that whenever I feel like I don't have enough energy to sit down to play with the business, I can just take one of the other families and play a bit more casually that way. But if you have just, I don't know how many families there are here now, 12 or something, or 15 maybe. If all of them have businesses, then it's going to be very heavy to play through each round, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm trying to hold myself back. I already know that I'm going to want to have the restaurant for the Monty family, and then the business for the Cap family. I don't remember if I actually landed on them having a rivalry restaurant or not. I think I did decide that. It was such a long time ago now, so I don't even remember. But I think that they are supposed to have rivaling restaurants. And then, of course, I also wanted to have the playable pub. And then I'm also going to have the university building where Kent and Bianca are working. So I've already set myself up for having those businesses, you know? So, and oh my God. Yeah, I'm gonna be in trouble, because I also built those stacked houses with the business lots beneath them, and I was kind of thinking that I wanted them to have businesses downstairs also. Yeah. I'm gonna have to be careful, let's just say that. Right, and this is actually this house done as well, with all of the lights and everything. So yeah, as I said, this is what the layout is going to be for all of these houses, so you're not going to have to sit down and watch that over and over again. But I was actually quite glad that even though for this family it was one room too many, I was able to squeeze in 3 bedrooms. So that actually allowed me to choose between more families in the family bin as for who would be moving in here. So the next family that I decide to go with is this group of roommates, female ones, and I think that the name of the household is Hutchins. So I think one of them is called Regina, and then we have a Pamela, I think, and then another maid that I don't remember what her name is. Anyway, so I am furnishing this in such a way that hopefully all of them can have double beds. And I am utilizing this same trick that I've shown you in Downtown, for example, in that series where I'm using the IKEA bed and I am pushing the bed frame into the wall so that they can still use the bed on both sides, even though it's just a 3 tiles deep room. And that works, of course, because I'm playing with walls up always. So I'm not going to have that issue that it looks really weird when the walls are cutting down. So hopefully this still works in this. I mean, I don't see why not. But that's one of the things that just shows when you're playtesting afterwards. And most often you can actually use the Snap Objects to Grid Falls cheat to mess around with making furniture accessible for the Sims. As long as they're not on the basic tiles that's standard for the game, normally you can make it work. It's very sensitive when it comes to beds, what's right next to the pillows. So as long as you don't block that area with any tables, then you're fine. That's why I'm always using these really, really small bedside tables for these kinds of solutions, because I don't want the bedside tables to be in the way for them getting in and out of the bed. And I'm going for a kind of flowery female style here. And I'm also trying to draw some slight inspiration from the sort of fantasy vibes that's coming with Shakespeare as well. Not that it's a fantasy genre really for his plays, but I'm thinking of, for example, A Midsummer's Night that has some fantastical elements to it with the fairies and everything. So that draws my mind to this kind of fantasy style furnishings, what you should say. I feel like the wallpapers and the beddings and everything that I've been using here is a little bit like it has that vibe. It's a little bit interesting furnishing for, well, Sims that you don't know, and also Sims whose futures you can't really foresee at the moment, because I'm putting in all of this work to furnish and build and everything for them and making sure everything is nice. But then again, I have no idea how long these girls will be staying here. Maybe all of them find partners and want to move in together with them like 2 days after I've been starting to play with them, you know? You never know what can happen. I'm thinking of sort of the situation that I'm having in my downtown series, where I moved in one of the bigger families in a townhouse, an apartment in that case, and basically figured out as I was playing that they had to move first thing. So that could definitely happen here as well. Yeah, this room is really nothing special at all, because I basically just threw some stuff in here, but there's not really much thought behind this furniture here. It's sort of just a bunch of things thrown together, I feel like. But then again, as I said, it's all very much up for change in this room especially, because depending on what kind of hobbies these girls have and what they like to do together, things can really turn around a lot. Another thing that's going to be fun, well, that's always fun when you start out a neighborhood in this way, is to learn what kind of relationships the different Sims are building with each other and other Sims in the neighborhood. Because when we're starting out, there's a lot of Sims that are not really tied to anyone in particular. I'm thinking of a lot of the teenagers, they're really up for grabs. And also, quite a few of the adults as well. I think maybe that's like a thought behind starting the neighborhood for the developers as well, because they want to leave a lot of options open. So having a lot of single Sims allows for that, I guess. But we have Bianca and Kent, of course, and, well, Cornwall. No, not Cornwall. Consort as well, even though I'm not sure if finding him a partner is a really good idea. I'm gonna have to see, I guess. And then, a bunch of the townies that I'm putting down now as well, of course. So this is one of the households with single ladies, and then I have another one with single men as well. And I'm not sure exactly what age I'm gonna put them as. I guess I'm gonna randomize it a bit, but they're not gonna be that old. They're gonna be at the start of their adult life, I guess. And then I also have the possibility of trying to add in some young adults in this neighborhood as well, depending on how I want to do that. Still haven't tried out if it works to create a dormitory in the main neighborhood yet or not. I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and do that soon. But I'm also considering if I should just create them and then plop them down and make them townies, maybe. Either way, I think it would be interesting to actually create townies and make them myself. Basing them somewhat off of the genetics that can be found in both the Monty family and the Cap family, so that they look a bit similar, as if they have common ancestors or something. Would be interesting. And of course, I want to create a hero in her new identity. After having faked her own death, you know, she needs to exist as a townie here, even if I'm not gonna be playing with her. So there's gonna be a bunch of different sims to go around. And of course, with this being a household for single ladies, I also try to consider what they needed if they want to throw parties or have dates. And something that you need for both of those things is music, of course. So I put down a huge stereo there. They're not going to have that much space to dance or anything, but it's going to be there anyway. And I used Agnieszka's object rotator to place the armchair on top of, so that I could angle it a little bit more freehand and not having it sit at exactly 45 degrees angle. And I think that I've also had some issues with this armchair, sometimes with the Sims not being able to use it if it's at a 43-degree angle. So using that, the object rotator actually resolves that issue as well. And here I was about to put in all the lights, but as you could see, I had completely forgotten about the shutters on the windows and the window boxes. So I just fixed that quickly. You've already seen me do that in the other house. I cut out that footage and then went back to the lights here. And that is the second house finished as well. So, well, actually the whole of the first building is all done now. So we're halfway finished with the houses. So this is the second community lot, and once again, I wasn't sure what I wanted to use it for, but as I was building the interior, I realized that it would be fun to use it as a clothing boutique. So that's what I did, and this space that was a bathroom in the other build, I used as a changing room. And then there was just a small 2-tile big bathroom for the visitors if they need it. As I mentioned with the previous build, when you have a community lot where they actually sit down to eat and drink, it's more necessary to have more bathrooms compared to other kinds of community lots. So I'm pretty sure that just having one tiny bathroom is going to be fine in this case. And I went with a darker, more gothic vibe in this build. So the staircase and everything is more in a blackish tone, and also the windows and doors and everything is in a black hue as well. So, but I also feel like that goes hand in hand somewhat with Shakespeare for some reason as well. I'm not sure why. I guess maybe it's the dramatic themes of his plays that draws my mind to that gothic vibe. And I am deciding to put down these maxis clothing hangers here closest to the changing rooms, because something that I have realized after playing with the custom content ones that I have is that they are not able to use those for trying on clothes. So they're only gonna be able to do that with these clothes hangers that's from the base game. And I have some recolors, of course, so make them look a little bit nicer. But that's why they are sitting closest here. And then all across the rest of the clothing store, I'm gonna be using my custom ones. Just doing my best to line everything up here. Just freehanding everything. And then I felt like it looked a bit too empty to just have, these standing on the floor. Like the walls needed to have something as well. And I started by using this sort of accessory hanger, but it didn't really have a recolor, so I didn't want to use too many of them. And also I felt like I wanted to use more hanging clothes for this. So I ended up going with that and using the shiftable everything mod. Of course, you can shift everything up and down seamlessly. But then they were sort of just hanging me there from nothing. So I also decided to place down a shelf above to make it look like at least it's hanging from something, you know, it's not just hovering mid-air like that. So that made more sense. And I am crossing my fingers that I'm not going to have any angrily waving Sims trying to access these clothing racks, because I'm not sure if they are usable or not as they are elevated in this way. I mean, the Sims have often surprised me that the Sims can access more than you'd think. So it's very possible that they can just use this as well as the ones on the floor. Who knows? I'm gonna have to try it out. Yeah, I guess only time will tell. Then I have this recolor of the H&M display that makes it look a little bit more realistic. And then I try to put these mannequins in the windows to try to sort of display clothing, but then I realized that you can't really see much through these windows anyway, so I pointed them into the store instead, so that it looks better from within rather than making commercials to the outside. And of course, the obligatory spouse's chair that has to be in the clothing stores for the poor husbands waiting that don't like shopping. And there's some seating upstairs as well, because I wasn't sure exactly what to place in front of this huge window, so seating it became. And then there's going to be a bunch of more of these clothing racks. Then except the clothes, I also wanted to have something else set up for sale. Not that it's actually gonna be sellable, but I wanted it to be at least visually so, something different. So I am gonna be placing down some handbags on top of those shelves so that they have something more to pick from. I was considering also placing down shoes, but I don't have enough shoes. So I think it would just end up looking a bit strange in the end. So yeah, maybe I should get some more shoe clutter and actually build myself a shoe store one of these days. And then, of course, I had the problem of the other side of the upstairs area. And after some careful deliberation, I ended up placing down wedding attire. So that actually ended up giving a purpose for these armchairs, at least as well, because of course the friends and family of the bride is going to want to look at the wedding dresses together, and then of course it's good if they can sit down to do so. There's not going to be any changing rooms up here though, so the brides are going to have to go downstairs if they want to try anything on. But that's fine. I don't think that the seams are going to be trying things on from these racks. Maybe they are actually. Maybe these work. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna learn that as I play. And that way I actually managed to finally fill out the entire space with something, so yay! I was happy about that. I was a bit concerned there that I wouldn't have enough things to put in, but yeah, it worked out well. I really wanted this boutique to feel stuffed to the brim with clothes, you know, and I feel like I managed to succeed at that. And similarly to the other shop, I wanted this to also have a sign. I didn't have a suitable custom one, so I just used this pretty ugly sign, to be honest, for clothes. Maybe I should try to find a better one, honestly. This one doesn't look very good. Again, I'm going with a lantern solution here for the in-between area, but in this case I put down some lit candles as well, so that added to the more gothic vibe of this shop. Yeah, and I happily also remember to paint the ceilings. That's nice. And then I had a little battle with the phone booth here. It really didn't want to collaborate at all. You really have to find the exact spot where you can pick it up. Yeah, and there we go. So this is the clothing boutique. Then next up, I'm going with the group of male roommates that I mentioned that I had. And yeah, I've also gone ahead and renovated this house, or well, built it, I should say. So this had more of a black and red style that I went for these guys. Tried to keep with the old-fashioned and fantasy-ish Shakespearean vibe while simultaneously making it look a bit masculine, which was definitely a challenge. Hopefully I did okay. So in this case, it's the male maid that I'm pretty sure that I renamed, so he's called Shylock. At least his last name is Shylock now. And oh yeah, I think I actually renamed the female maid in the previous house to Macbeth as well, so that I used those Shakespeare names. And then we also have two guys who have other Sims in town that they're family with. So I'm pretty sure that one of them is called Ryan, I think. And he has a sister, pretty sure. And then it's also the bartender who I'm pretty sure that I made him the brother of the rich guy that I built the house for recently. Well, I actually renovated a house for his family. Oh, what was his name? It was something very British, I think. I can't think of it at the moment. But he's his brother anyway, and he's a bartender, so he's going to be working at the pub. So I'm kind of thinking that he's probably the black sheep of the family, like he has been disinherited for some reason. I need to figure out the reason why, of course, but yeah, I feel like he should be living off meager means, and that's why he needs a bunch of roommates because he can't afford living alone. And he probably has a pretty low wage job as well. Yeah, so here you can see me just taking whatever style that inspiration takes me to at the moment. So this room is a little bit of a military / sporty vibe, I guess you could say. So it feels like it's a little bit mismatch in this case, but yeah. I feel like for most guys it probably doesn't make that much of a difference. So I think that they will be fine without it looking like expensive and chic, you know. And this mirror was very fun to use as well. The sort of the British phone booth style, but as a mirror. I really liked putting that in. I don't think I've ever used it before, but this was the perfect place for it. So I'm going for the same kind of kitchen utilities in all of these houses. But in this case, I decided to use the red recolor. That was fun. That certainly made this kitchen look a lot different than the other ones have. Also, I feel like the black painted walls also adds in a completely different vibe than the previous ones. And while I was placing down this kitchen, I realized that I really didn't like the black color that I had picked out. It was too shiny, so it just looked flat when I used the cupboards especially. So I changed it out for a more muted black tone. So these kitchens have trash compactors, but they don't have any dishwashers. So all of them are gonna have to do hand dishing. Or hand washing, I guess. One of the things that I am thinking about when I'm building these houses as well is that they are probably protected in some way as well. In Swedish, we call those kinds of houses K-marked, but I'm not sure if that is the same in English. But when they are sort of protected by the government so that you can't actually make huge changes to them, like you have to apply for permission to make any changes that you want to do. And depending on what in the house is protected, it changes what you can do with it. So maybe in some cases you can, repaint the walls, for example. So maybe these paneled walls weren't actually black from the start. Maybe they were brown and then they repainted them in this color, and that would be fine. Or maybe the walls are actually protected and you are not allowed to repaint them. You just are allowed to maintain them, I guess. Same thing could be for like the windows, like in this black color. Maybe that is protected as well and they're not allowed to repaint them to something else. And that would also sort of restrict how they can work with the layout of the house as well. Like, for example, if they wanted to tear down a wall or make an extension of the house or add an extra room somewhere, I guess they would have to apply for permission for that as well. And probably be denied for a bunch of requests as well. Yeah, here I decided to place down some instruments. Again, I have absolutely no idea whether these guys are going to be interested in playing music or not, but yeah, I'm just going out on a limb here and saying that maybe, maybe at least one of them is interested. So same thing with the punching bag in one of the bedrooms. Like I have no idea if they are going to want it, but worst case, I can just change it out when I start playing with them, you know? But it would be quite cute if they would be interested in playing music, what with them going to live so close to the pub. Maybe they like going there and performing every now and then. That was the third house, so we only have one left actually. The third of the residential ones actually, the fifth in total. So that's nice. I'm actually very happy that I was able to place down 4 families in these houses, because I've been feeling like this renovation or building series has been dragging on for such a long time now. Like I had the idea that I wanted to start up Veronaville for so many months ago that I'm starting to forget like what I decided and what I was thinking at the start of this. So I really hope that I'm gonna be done with this soon, so that I can actually start sitting down to play. And having placed down 4 families in one go feels like a victory, actually, to be honest. Yeah. Speaking of families, in this house I placed down the Mays family. So that is 2 parents and then 2 teenagers. And the vision that I had for this house for them was that I wanted the upstairs area to be sort of dedicated to the teenagers, and that the parents would have their bedroom downstairs, so that the teenagers could have their bedrooms wall to wall and sort of keep their arguments and their rivalry between themselves upstairs, and then keep the parents out of it, sort of. And I kind of figured that this biggest room that I made now into the teenager daughter's room was once upon a time the master bedroom for the parents, and that they agreed sometime throughout them growing up in this house to change with her for some reason. It could be the case that the parents just wanted some privacy from the teenagers or children, maybe even as young as that, and that they prefer to be on the ground floor, maybe. So we have, I think that the girl's name is Mallory Mace, if I remember correctly. And then she has a brother that I don't remember at all what his name is. So this house, the size of it for this size family was actually more of a challenge than I had anticipated when I placed them down here. Because when I placed them down, I was thinking that these are probably going to be older parents who are done with having children. So I'm not going to have to worry about all of a sudden having to squeeze in a baby somewhere. But the issue that I had not considered is the fact that the kitchen is tiny. So there's not really any space for a proper sized dining table that can house 4 people. So that also means that I'm gonna have to utilize the sort of hallway area that I've used as a living room for the other families as a dining area for this family, so that they actually have a proper sized table. And that actually adds in a new need for another room that was not in the other houses, and that is, where do I put the living room then? And I'm gonna have to come up with a creative solution for that later on. But that actually was the biggest struggle with this house that I had not anticipated, actually. And something that was running through my mind as I was building this was that this family probably have lived in this house for a very long time, and they would have wanted to put their own mark on the house and make it as they want it to be, and the way that they like it. And I feel like these parents probably want more of a light and airy feeling in the house, rather than the old and dark and gothic vibe that the house probably had from the start, comparing it to the clothing store next door, for example. So some things that I think that they have probably done in this house is to repaint the staircase. I actually made it white in this house instead of the gray tone that I've used in the other 2 houses in this building. And I've also taken care to use pretty light wallpapers, light wood tones and so on for the kitchen and the parents' bedroom especially. And then, I think that one of the restrictions for this family is that they cannot repaint the windows. They would have liked these windows to be white, no doubt, I think. But I think that might be one of the things that's like protected by the state for these houses, that they cannot repaint those genuine windows. So instead, they have framed them with white curtains. So that was actually a bit fun to think about as I was furnishing this house. And then we have the upstairs problem. Where is the living room gonna go? And of course, looking at this room, there was really just one space where I could think to place down a sofa, and this was the corner. And after doing that, I considered, like, what am I gonna do about the TV? Like, where is that thing even gonna go where it makes sense? Like, it can't be in the way of the staircase, and mounting a wall TV onto the wall also seemed very odd. So what I decided to do was actually create a new room here. And I think that this is an example of one of the things that they would have had to apply for permission to do, to add in this wall in between the landing and, the rest of the upstairs, you know. And I think that they were granted building this wall, but it's not... it's very thin, you know. It can be torn down easily. And this is also something that sort of came to mind as I was furnishing this, as I happened to choose this purple color and this very girly fantasy vibe wallpaper to put in as well, that it's very possible actually that this room was actually Mallory's one point, when she was a toddler maybe, or a child, and that the whole family perhaps were having their bedrooms upstairs, and then the living room was probably in the room where the parents have their bedroom now. And then at one point the parents decided that they wanted to move downstairs, or maybe Mallory decided that she didn't want to be in that bedroom anymore, or maybe she wanted to change the wallpapers or whatever, and the parents wouldn't allow her, or maybe they weren't allowed or something. And then they made this switch of the rooms. So yeah, that's a fun possibility to think about, how things might have been when this family was younger as well. And this is one of those houses that I'm gonna have to think about what I want to do with it once the teenagers have moved out, or whether I want to keep them living here as young adults when they are at university, perhaps. Because even though it's not a big house, it's gonna be too much space for two adult sims, or well, two elders maybe they are at that point, to just have for themselves, I feel like. So it's possible that maybe the parents want to move once the teenagers have moved out as well. Yeah, I'm gonna have to see about that. And that's actually the last of the houses. All of them are finished now. Here's some final pictures of the finished rooms. And that is the end of it. So yeah, it was really great to get this all done and over with. I am happy with the result. This actually turned out really nice. I haven't tried out this solution with combining lots and layering them on top of each other in this particular way before. So it actually was very successful and something that I can use again in future for sure. So thank you as always for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.